Alright, so in chapter 184, we once again saw the final boss, or the implied to be final boss of One Piece, and the shadow ruler of the world government, Imu. I think this is like the third time or so we've seen this character in the series, but her appearance in this chapter has led to a lot of speculation and a lot of theories attached to it. And I'm going to go over one of the popular theories. I'm not sure who came up with this one, but it is fascinating and I would love to go over it with you guys. But anyway, like I said, in chapter 184, we see Imu show up, and that's because Cobra finally had his meeting with the Gorosei. This is, of course, a flashback to 1 month earlier when the reverie was still going on, and, of course, right before Cobra was killed. He goes on to talk to the Gorosei about the formation of the world government and how only 19 of the original monarchs that formed the world government decided to go to Mary Geoise to become celestial dragons. However, there was one that didn't, and it was the ruler of Alabasta 800 years ago by the name of Queen Lily. However, she didn't return to Alabasta like he originally thought, and he wanted to ask the Gorosei like what they knew about it. And of course, they give him a non-answer because the Gorosei will never tell the truth about anything, especially anything related or remotely related to the Void Century. But then he goes on to ask them what D means, like the initial D, you know, like Monkey D. Luffy. And afterwards, Imu suddenly appears walking up the steps to the empty throne. This is incredible because Imu is revealing herself to someone besides the Gorosei. They're even like, "Great, Imu! King Cobra is still present." And she looks at Cobra and says, "Lily." Then she sits on the empty throne. Now, before I go any further, you'll notice that I'm calling Imu a she, despite the gender of this character never being revealed. And I say this because it goes into the theory that I adapted from Uteron, and it's that Imu is likely based on Kaguya Hime from The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. I won't bore you with that story again, but I'll have a video linked at the end of this video explaining all of that stuff. But long story short, Imu is very likely to be the Moon Princess. I'm not sure if it's like the moon that Enel is currently on, but one of the satellite planets in the One Piece world at minimum. But anyway, her being a princess, or the theory of it, is important because it's going to go into what the main theory about this video is. So the thing that really sparked all of this is the panel of us seeing Imu listening to the conversation between Cobra and the Gorosei in this chapter. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Cook Unity. Cook Unity is the first chef-to-consumer platform, delivering freshly prepared, pre-selected meals right to your door weekly. Chefs cook meals with real ingredients, nothing artificial, with humanely raised meat and organic ingredients when possible. Guys, I absolutely love Cook Unity. It is by far one of my favorite sponsors. Cook Unity chefs offer up a wide range of meals with over 7 different dietary preference filters, including vegan, paleo, and gluten-free options. This week, I tried chicken breast and seared potato and gnocchi in mushroom cream sauce by Chef David Aiden. Hungry Vaquero meal, grilled steak with cheese enchilada with red rice and charro beans by Chef Maribel Rivero. And crispy Parmesan chicken tenders with green beans and honey mustard by Chef Andreas Mendez. The chicken breast with seared potato and gnocchi was amazing. This is personally one of my favorite meals, and I've had it many times in my life, but this is easily one of the best I've had by far. The grilled steak with cheese enchilada was also fantastic. The steak was cooked perfectly, and the cheese enchilada was so tasty. And last but not least, these crispy chicken tenders really hit. The chicken was nice and juicy, and the breading was great as well, but the true star of this dish is the honey mustard. I'm not even kidding. This is probably the best honey mustard I've ever had in my life. I wish I could have a whole case of this stuff. The subscription is super flexible, and you could pause, skip weeks, or cancel at any time. So guys, if you're interested in signing up for Cook Unity, check out the link in the description, or you can go to cookunity.com/zonin and make sure you use my code ZONIN50 at checkout, because that way you're going to get 50% off of your first order of Cook Unity meals. That is an incredible deal, so make sure you get it while you can. Thanks, guys. We see Imu in the Chamber of Flowers, and she's listening through a Denden Mushi on like this pillar table thing. And if you'll notice, Imu isn't much taller than this pillar table thing. We could just assume that this is like a normal size table, so Imu is pretty small. So small, in fact, that you could say that she might even be a child. And that's fascinating because it's going to lead into another thing. I mean, aside from the, the twist of Imu being a child this whole time, And it led to another theory that, like, wait, have we already seen what Imu is? Like, Oda foreshadowing what Imu is through another character? And that character is Sugar. Sugar, one of the officers of the Don Quixote pirates. Now, before I even go more into that, let's just point out the aesthetic similarities, which I didn't notice before because, you know, I'm stupid, but Sugar has a crown. And I always thought that was odd. I thought it was just her being, I don't know, full of herself or something, but maybe it's because Oda is, like I said, trying to tell us what Imu is through this character. Now also, Sugar has like a hoodie on, but I think it's supposed to parallel to Imu's veil that she wears. I mean, we kind of could have made out that this was a veil before, but it's super evident. Chapter 1084 in the panel where Imu says Lily. Like, you can clearly see that this is like a veil. And this big pointy thing on top of her head, of course, is a crown. So that right there is very similar to what's going on with Sugar's appearance. And also, Sugar's left eye is covered by like a monocle thing, and the left eye being marked is, you know, heavily recurring symbolism in this series. We see it with tons of characters and just tons of things in general. I won't go too much into that, but it possibly could mean the truth about Laugh Tale or the One Piece itself, like it being removed from Jaya, maybe. I don't know, but the real parallel here is not just Sugar's aesthetic, but her devil fruit ability. So before I explain what it is, in case you need a refresher, I'll just say the first time I read Dressrosa, I was perplexed by Sugar's fruit being so oddly specific in its abilities and why it had so many. So she ate the Habi Habi no Mi, or the Habi Habi fruit, and it allows the user to transform living people into toys and erase their memories of their existence from others. And also it grants the eater eternal youth. So like I said, I was like, why does it have all of these abilities? I mean, I kind of get it, you know, because of toys and kids, but still, this is like 3 abilities in one. And the Eternal Youth thing is like such a significant ability that it's like one of the secret main abilities of the Ope Ope no Mi, which we'll get into. But this is interesting because, like I said, I'm pretty sure this is Oda telling us what Imu is and what Imu has done, because making others into toys and erasing their memories, of course, goes back to the Void Century, something that is mentioned in this chapter, as it is in many, but the Void Century is, as it implies, a century-long gap. There was like 100 years, around 800 to 900 years ago, that are just unaccounted for. We know nothing about it, only through the Poneglyphs, of course, which is forbidden to study, but that's a direct parallel right there. Her turning people into toys, them forgetting, such as the world with the Void Century. And I guess her turning people into toys could, I don't know, be a parallel to Imu's subjects, like the world government themselves. They're just toys to her, which is, you know, plausible. But the eternal youth thing, because like we were just talking about, Imu seems to be the size of a child. And if you've been following my channel for a while now, you know I've been talking about my theory constantly about what I think is going on with these people that have eyes like Imu. You know, the double ringed eyes. We see it in Mihawk, we see it in Hakuba, we see it in Zunisha, and I'm pretty staunch on the fact that this is a direct result of someone having the perpetual youth surgery performed on them. You know, the secret ultimate ability of the Ope Ope no Mi that Doflamingo explained to us, and which Blackbeard might have Law forcefully performed on him at some point. Or, you know, something like that. We'll see what happens. But I've always said that Imu very likely has had the perpetual youth surgery performed on her, and a big twist here is that it was possibly performed on her when she was a child, meaning that she is always going to be a child, just the way that Sugar is. Because Sugar is like 22, but I guess she ate the fruit when she was like 10 or 12 or something. And I think the same thing for sure happened to Imu. Now, this is another story for another time, but it's very possible that like Joy Boy himself performed the surgery onto Imu, forever trapping her as a child as like one last joke to her. I know there's like little to no evidence to support that, but it's just something I just want to put out there. We don't have to, you know, take it for gospel. It's just some fun speculation. Maybe I'll make another video going into that, but I'll probably forget that I even said it. But yeah, that's like the big theory, possible twist here. Imu is a child who has had the perpetual youth surgery performed on her. But not only that, but she's also like the Moon Princess, or the princess of the Moon people, or one of the Moon people. Came down and, you know, now she's the ruler, and who's to say why she did what she did? That still has yet to be revealed, and we could speculate for hours and hours about that, but I do fully think that this whole Sugar being a parallel to Imu is absolutely true. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments. So let me know. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.